So moving on to something a little bit more, happy, some happy thoughts. What was your earliest memory of Rafa? What do you think, Yousef? What was your earliest memory of Rafa?
So this this might be a long story. So for me, I was an Agassi fan when I was younger. The first racket I had when I guess when I was conscious was head radical racket, that silver one with orange, and Agassi was my guy. He was my role model in tennis, and then I knew he was on his way out, so I needed to find someone new. And who's this new guy going to be? And they're like, oh, there's this young 18-year-old kid from Spain. And we didn't have all the access we have now. We had much less access. So you would just hear things here and there. Maybe you see something on TV. Maybe you hear someone talk about something. And they said that there's this young Spanish guy and he's going to be amazing. And then I remember I first saw him in Monte Carlo in 2005, wearing his orange sleeveless Nike shirt, and then those long white shorts above the knees. And then you can see left bicep big, right bicep small, bandana. And then he walks onto the court and you watch this guy play tennis, and just you feel like he's at war. Every single point is more important than the last. Every single point as if this is the match. And then he gave you so much energy, he gave you so much emotions, and you just felt like this. And I'm like, this is my guy. This is my guy. So for me, that was my earliest memory of like this. I think this is a guy that I'm gonna ride with, and I did not expect to follow him for over 20 years, and to see this amount of success. But I remember my first memories of Rafa were then, and I wanted to. You just wanted to root for the guy, and it was a journey that I took in 2005, and here we are, 2022.
24.
2024, sorry, 2022.
Where have you been for the past 2 years?
It was his last amazing
that?
season. It was his last. 2022 was the last.
Time stops for Rafa fans, huh? Time stops for Rafa fans.
I guess it did. But 2024, here we are, 19 years after it. We've all grown, but I saw him as a young boy. I cheered him on as a kid, grew up, teenager, in my 20s. Now here I am, I'm in my 30s now, and I'm watching him retire, and it's one of, it's a loss.
All right, then.
I'm going to miss him.
What about you, Ismaeel? What was your earliest memory of Rafa?
It's also in 2005 because that's when Rafa just stormed onto the scene. But for me, it was also during that same time, and there was that clay court swing. And for me, the earliest fun memory is in Rome. And it was in the final when he played Korea. And it was a 5-set match at that time. At the time they played the best of 5 for the finals.
It was the best.
I strongly believe we should go back to that. And Rafa, he was just electric. He was so fun to watch. He was so powerful. He was so strong. He was so quick. His forehand was absolutely crushing it. He would get everything on the court. There's nothing that he would leave. It was like, you can't get by this guy. It was so awesome. It was so fun. I was a Roger Federer at the time. I was already a Roger guy. And but I couldn't take my eyes off this kid. I couldn't look away. It was just so awesome. And the Korea final in Rome.
If I recall, it wasn't awesome. You would not cheer for the guy. You were not with the guy.
Yeah, it was. Well, I'm going to tell you why. Because at the time, he wasn't playing Federer in those tournaments. And Rafa was just crushing everyone on his way to titles in that clay court swing. And the final against Korea, it went to a final set tiebreak in the 5th. And he takes it in 8-6. And then this kid, he's just a kid. And he starts going wild. And he starts throwing his racket. He emptied his bag in the stand. He threw his whole bag in the stand. It was so fun because that's what I would do. He was just conveying my emotions. It was just a super excited, happy kid, and I just couldn't stop. I couldn't look away. It was so fun. He was so awesome, and he couldn't speak much English at the time. It wasn't that great, but you could just tell he's so humble. And then Already, I was rooting for Rafa the whole time. It wasn't until the French Open in 2005 when he pummeled Federer at the French Open. It was then I started rooting against him because every time he played Federer, I root for Federer, and he just keeps crushing Federer. That's why I was rooting against him. Other than that, I love Rafa, and he was so fun to watch, and he was so electric. And it's hard not, like, even if I was rooting against him as a fan, I couldn't help but respect him, and I always loved to watch Rafa. What a fun player. Amazing career. Yeah. Amazing athlete.
Yeah, he's super fun. So my memory is a bit different. It was just like fragments that I would see things when I was younger. So my first introduction to Rafa was like when you go buy a racket and you're going to a tennis store or something, or you see his pictures on those rackets, on those like on the whatever poster in the store. And like, oh, his rackets look cool. And who's this guy that's with a huge bicep and with a sleeveless shirt and a bandana? Obviously, I wanted to wear a bandana. I didn't have that long hair that he has, but
we all wanted to wear bandana.
Everybody wanted, and bandanas are always been super expensive, so nobody could even get a bandana. But yeah, those long shorts were iconic. Nobody else is wearing long shorts like he has, and it was and he just makes everybody super excited. I didn't really get to watch him once he was on tour because I was so young, but then you just see people just Nadal, like doing it like Nadal and just screaming and so much passion. And then the first time I actually remember watching him play was in playing Federer in the French Open, and then just crushing Federer. And then I have like a tainted image of Federer in my brain because of Rafa. He destroyed Federer's image in my brain, and also Rafa's this cool, hip, young guy that's representing the youth, and Federer's this old, luxurious guy that's representing the old geezers like Yousef, right? But yeah, he was like that was
old geezers because you were how old? You were 6. Roger was probably 20, 25, 24 maybe.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
so actually younger than you are now, but
in
I guess you call yourself
in
a geezer.
2008 he was 27. So
so old.
But
yeah, that's a geezer. How old are you now? Exactly.
Roger in 2008 was my age now, but just that's a long time ago. But yeah, anyways, Rafa was just iconic always. He has so much aura, and we would gravitate to him as a young tennis player. But yeah, there's so many other things I can talk about, but always happy memories with Rafa.
Have a good night. Good night. Good night. Very good night.